building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Down out, I was worth it and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became. I was gonna say with that what you're saying. Would you say, like, you know how you'll talk to someone and you'll ask that question and someone will say, "Why live for my kids? My kids are my purpose," right? Um, for me, looking at that, which I love that people live for other people, but would you say, like, in that moment, that person, because we don't know everyone's destiny, but would you say that could be their purpose, or would
No,
you say it's
purpose.
something different?
Your priority and your purpose should be yourself first before anything else. And that's one that is a very touchy one. And I'm glad that you brought it up because, yes, a lot of mothers do not like to hear that.
Well,
You know,
even
yeah,
fathers tend
exactly.
to, be like, they're living for the family. I'm providing, I'm
Exactly.
working, I'm in this job I hate because of the family. So I feel like some people, their purpose, they get it kind of misconstrued with what soul level purpose is. So that's why I wanted to touch on that.
So that's an amazing question. I'm so glad you brought that up because the reason I say that is if you don't the purpose that I spoke about earlier, the basic purpose, which is loving yourself, healing, all that stuff, if you don't do that for yourself, then how are you going to be any good for your family or anybody
Right.
else for that matter? Because when it is your time to awaken or step on your path or whatever you want to say, the universe is, going to send you nudges first of all. And if you don't respond, then it's going to send you tower moments. And then, like until
Right.
you respond, like you have made this decision when you are going to, and not everybody's going to awaken. Some people have made a decision before they reincarnated that they're not going to awaken in this lifetime. So I'm not speaking for those people. I'm speaking for the people who are meant
Right.
to awaken or is meant to step on this path in this lifetime. Um,
Right.
it is important. Everybody has things that they need to heal. I have not met one person that doesn't have. Now, when I use the word trauma, it doesn't necessarily have to be like something horrible, like,
Right.
abuse or something like that. It could be anything. I mean, I remember when I worked retail, this was many years ago, um, getting robbed and getting attacked. That was very traumatic. Like
Right.
I worked
Right.
at a sunglass hut and we had high end sunglasses. And
Right.
like me and this other girl that were working there, like that's what happened to us. And that was a very traumatic, and you don't think like the adrenaline kicks in, but then a few days later, it's like, all
Right.
of a sudden you don't want to work alone, you don't want to, and then it comes up later for healing. So I just wanted to
Right.
touch on that. When I say trauma, it doesn't always have to be something like horrendous.
Right,
um
because some people don't realize that even like a car accident it could be
it's traumatic.
traumatic
Yeah.
for a child. Somebody going to jail in the family could be traumatic.
Yes.
Divorce is traumatic to children. Like there's so many levels of trauma, but of course, when we hear trauma, it's like, uh-oh, the big shit. And there's so many things that
Yes.
it's not, I don't level any of them worse than the other because I think they all hit us on different levels. And I think that's also a part where society is kind of confused is to think that this trauma is worse than that trauma, you know?
And I really dislike that because they're just like always, you know count. It's not that I don't count my blessings or I don't say my gratitude, but at least you don't have it this bad. Don't ever tell anybody that, and don't ever allow anybody to tell you that, because you know what, they are minimizing what you are going through, and that's not okay, because we are given what we can handle.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that you can't handle more. it means you're probably gonna get, like there's
Right.
other stuff that are gonna come up later, or that you're like, just like us, like gonna have to deal with the energies and the craziness and the ascension path, or, like stuff like that. You don't know what like you're gonna go through. So just
Hmm.
because, you know, you have a roof over your head, of course we express gratitude for that. But if somebody tells you, oh, you lost your job. Well, at least you have a spouse at home to help you. At least you have family to help you. At least you don't have to worry about going homeless. No, that's not okay. Don't, like you should never allow anybody to compare what your, challenges are to anybody else's. That's not okay.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I don't like that, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. And I don't allow when somebody tells me, if I went through something challenging, I'm just like, you know what? I've given you this little story. You don't know my background, so don't tell
Right.
me. At least, you don't know what I've gotten over. You don't
Right.
know what
Right.
I've been through. So I think
I
that's like, yeah.
I want to go back to you were saying like some people of course have chosen not to awaken, not to expand, not to ascend in this life. But for the ones that do, how can they what are some signs to look for when your soul is calling for you to get to that purpose? What are some signs that you can think of that when your soul is calling?
Um, for me, it was, I think we naturally want to do more. As we step into this path, as we start to feel this like peace and love and like
Mm,
gratitude, we want to give back. We want to make a difference. We want
right.
to, at least that's what it was for me. And I feel like a lot of other women are like that too. We also see, I used to have a women's group for like 3 years where it was, while I was just stepping on my path, same thing, these women, it was open for everybody to go through it together.
Right.
And my purpose for doing that was, I just wanted to, whatever I learned, whatever anybody else learned, make it available for other people. So it's like, it's when you step on the path, it's like your heart opens up in a way that you have like, when you especially if you start doing what I did, which is like meditating ones of I kind of I think you and I did talk about this on the last podcast, which is like, or one of the or the one before, like getting
Right.
addicted to
Right.
meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got addicted to meditation, and I felt because I was so like I loved the way it made me feel so happy, so peaceful, and I wanted to give more of that out. I love being in touch with like Mother Gaia. I love being in touch with like, you know, doing something out of nowhere, or having somebody being put in my path that like, just needed a little something, and it just made me feel like I was contributing to the betterness of humanity. And I think when we start out on this path, we want to contribute. We start feeling like, well, if we feel this great, we want other people to feel this great. We want to give back. We want to like, how do we make other people feel good? I think that was one of my things. How do I help other people? How do I reach out to the people who are in such darkness? And
Right.
like, and the thing is, I found now I don't feel like I need to reach out to anybody. The universe always puts them in my path somehow or another,
Right.
and I
Right.
promise you, like, you will get there. So if you are looking for that purpose, if you've done your own work, look at what interests you. Is it intuitive work? Is it healing? Is it, teaching? Is it going to volunteer? Is it
Mhm.
because not everything has to be, purpose doesn't always have to be about spirituality.
Right.
Volunteering your time, is also like that's a purpose.
Mm,
Um, a lot of people that, going like nurses, I think, like, yes, they get paid for their purpose, but good God, I could never do their
yeah.
job. I could
But
never. I have,
you can tell. You can tell a purpose because even in that aspect, if we look at firefighters, with nurses, doctors, not everybody is passionate to the patient. You can tell the nurses that it's their purpose because the
yeah,
love, it's
yeah,
that love space, that heart space that
yeah.
changes. You could tell the ones that show up for the paycheck, don't give two shits, and that's it. And you could tell the ones that live out of their heart space, and that is one of the signs of you're in your purpose, because that heart space is everything. When you live out of this, doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be a clerk, but every person you're talking to on that phone, the way that you talk to them, the conversations that you have with them, the tone that you keep with them, the stuff that you do, that starts to create that purpose. Because I think a lot of people think they got to be out here being Superman or Superwoman. And it's just like, no, there's so many different things in this life that you can do. Not everybody needs to be a fucking guru. Not everybody needs to be a medium. Not everybody, we all have the skills and you can use them in every form or place. That's why you have detectives that are on point. What do you think
Oh
that
yeah.
is? That's intuition. That's their psychic abilities. They had a hunch. Where do you think the fucking hunch is?
Which is so funny that you say that because my sister is a detective, but she's not a witness at all. And I asked her once, I was like, so do you guys have like mediums that help you out? And she does the worst of the worst cases.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, why are you asking? I'm like, just wondering. She's like, I was like, what do you think of them? She's like, I don't really think of them. I was like, okay, well, all right, we're not touching that subject. She's very, very religious. So,
Right.
because, for a while, I thought that was something I may want to pursue.
Right.
And I don't know, who knows? But
Right.
also, another thing, I'm glad that what it just whatever you were just mentioning, it just made me think of something else. We all decide when we reincarnate the purpose, what we want to experience on
Mhm.
in this lifetime, and
Right.
some of it is part of our purpose.
Right.
So your purpose could be, and I've seen this written so many times, and I'm sure you all have also, or many of you have seen it. Your purpose could be simply as like for this lifetime, just being kind to one person. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
That one
So
life.
yeah. So
Right.
you're searching and searching and searching. Don't drive yourself crazy.
Right.
Allow, sit with it. Allow source, God, whatever you want to call it, universe,
Right.
the creator to help you, your guides, your ancestors, your, archangels, if you believe or you work with archangels, your ascended masters,
Mhm.
whatever goddesses you work with. Um, Allow them to help you and
Right.
don't let it drive you crazy because I promise you it will come to you in the moment that you least expect it. You least
Right.
expect it. When you are carrying on and doing the basic stuff that we discussed, which is being the best version of yourself, being love, and
Right.
sending out love constantly, trust me,
Right.
then everything will fall into place. Now, is it always going to be like that? No, but
Right.
it's okay to feel the emotions. Just
Right.
don't stay in them. Do not stay in them. And
Right.
some days are going to be more difficult than others. That's part of our purpose because that's part of our healing. And that is part of progressing. That is part of ascension. That is, so
Right.
the dark times are also part of their purpose. Now, it's not
Right.
the, yes, it is. You know?
I think I think that a part of like even when I look at like my life, I can pinpoint even when I was younger, just feeling like this is not it. When we're looking at signs, you're looking at signs to say when the signs, of going into a purpose, there's these points if you look at it, either felt something wasn't right. You went to your job. Even I had a career. Most of you guys know my story. I was there almost 11 years and left that career. Even though I was really good at it, I was top at what I was doing, but I left it because it was not where I was like, this is not it. Just going to clock in every day and out of this place, it wasn't it. But I was there for the time that I needed to be there. The people that I, came across, the people that I patients and stuff. Just I touched as many people as in that place. And that's why I wanted to circle back about your purpose may change
Yes.
because
Yes.
you go into one thing. And this is even when you look back in your careers. And I've been someone who's kind of been all over, and people have looked at me like, why would you just leave your job? You had a comfortable position and you just left everything and moved. And it's just like, yeah, it just wasn't it no more. Now, when I look at it, I see it's because that time was gone. I was there to be there for that moment, but I was needed elsewhere. And when I went to that other place, I was there for that moment, and then I left. And I think if we can take out of that society's paradigm of restarting your life and you're a failure if you don't have this, that, and the third, you don't have this bank account, house, and structure of
Yes.
society. If you look at it differently, maybe that's your experience, and I'm not knocking anyone who's trying to have a house and a car and the two dogs and family, but when you're looking at it, if you've moved around, if you can look at the experience and understand, you felt the shift when it was time to go. You felt the shift when it was time to let it go. And you did, and that's part of the purpose, right? Now, I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became.